Before I begin, quick shout out to Kirabax for donating a coffee. Thank you very much. I did a replay for them a few days ago. So thank you very much for that. All right, we're going to be watching Zeta, one of the above, playing tank on Ilios. This is what they posted. Looking for a VOD review for these two games. They posted two games. I picked the one was on tank and one was on support, but they sent me a request originally to review the tank game, so I'm reviewing tank games. I used to be GM in the early seasons of Overwatch 1, then I quit. Back playing Overwatch 2 after a long hiatus. Played a lot in Seasons 2, probably around 150 hours, quite evenly on tank, DPS, and support, reaching Diamond 4 in all roles, but unable to climb higher. I got these two games today, and I feel like I played very well in both of them, yet they both resulted in a loss. I've come to the conclusion that I've been playing with too low sense, 800 DPI, 3%, since I sometimes run out of mousepad space. So I recently increased to 4%, which resulted in my aim being worse, specifically the tracking, while I adapt to the higher sensitivity. I'm a very communicative player who tries to get everyone in voice and do my best to shot call / make callouts every game I play. My comms get a lot of praise, which is nice to hear, as I find it to be one of the most important aspects of the game. All right, so a few thoughts. Number one, I mean, sensitivity is a very personal thing, but the vast majority of people I've ever met / in person or virtually, lower sensitivity is usually better. I would say if I had to pick, are you too sensitive or is sensitivity too high or too low? I said almost always too high. I personally play on 800 DPI with I think 3 or maybe even lower than 3. What's my sensitivity right now? Yeah, I'm at 3 on the dot. I'm at 800 DPI. So you're basically the same sensitivity as me. In terms of running out of mouse pad, I would say make sure you have an extra large mouse pad. I have the Steel Series one, just like the regular fabric one, which is like, I don't know, like $20, $30 on Amazon. And it is something like a foot and a half by a foot and a half, something like that. Roughly speaking, like it's pretty easy if you just Google for it. Um, I highly recommend having, assuming you have enough desk space. I think some people don't have enough desk space, which is a different problem. But assuming you have enough desk space, just get a larger mouse pad rather than trying to change your aim around, which is going to make your life worse. That's number one. Number two is in terms of communications. I mean, if you enjoyed communicating, go right ahead. There's a good saying I saw recently in the subreddit, which is that, sorry, I'm sick, so you're gonna get a lot of coughing. If you can't get the masters without communication, or without communication, you're not gonna get the masters with communication. And the point being is that mechanics and game sense are so important to the game that your sensitivity, or not sensitivity, your communication can artificially inflate you a little bit, but that might be a bad thing because it can move you to a bracket where, this is my interpretation of that line anyways, it can move you to a bracket where you're clearly the worst player in the game, but you're like able to like kind of coordinate the rest of your team enough to kind of get yourself to still a 50-50 win rate. You know what I mean? And I think in the interest of long-term growth, I would actually recommend that people don't communicate and just work on their mechanics. I mean, I think that's very important. I think in Overwatch 1, I actually shot called a ton when I was playing in GM, but in Overwatch 2, I don't communicate at all because there's way too many mechanics for me to work on. Like I feel very dissatisfied with where my mechanics and game sense are for Overwatch 2 because again, it's quite a different game. That I'm not worried about communication because like communication is good, right? I truly believe that. I used it to, I think, strong effect in Overwatch 1, in going up to GM, but I don't want that to be a crutch I can use to propel myself past where my mechanics are going to be. You may feel differently. Again, if you enjoy doing it, go ahead and do it. It's your game, it's your time, do whatever you want. I was just pointing that out as a separate note. One thing that it doesn't say in here is that you told me in a DM is that you usually duo queue with a DPS who is Masters 5, I think. So that's 4 ranks above you. That's definitely going to change the game. So because you're likely to have people in this game who are significantly higher ranked than you. At a minimum, there's going to be one, right? Somebody to offset your DPS partner. I don't actually know who your DPS partner is, but if you have Masters 4 DPS, their team probably also has a Masters 4 DPS. Now, the rest of the heroes players could be anywhere from Diamond 4 to Masters 4, even down to Diamond 5-ish. So the result here is that the games get kind of erratic because this could, for example, be a lobby where everyone is Masters 4 except for you and the other tank who are Diamond 4, in which case the expectations are pretty low and it'll look like really bad games from both of you, but you're actually playing okay, according to the matchmaker. Alternatively, there could be games where everybody is Diamond 4 except for one player in each team, one DPS in each team who is Masters 5, in which case the game will feel pretty normal to you, except one DPS on their team will be dominating, and both your friend and their counterpart have to be absolutely amazing just to have a 50-50 chance of winning the game. I hope that makes sense. It's one of the problems when you queue up. I do this sometimes too when I queue friends, is it can make the games feel very strange and in some ways harder than usual when you're doing this. The other thing I would note is that it can hide what you and your friends' true rank are if you play most or all of your games together. Because it's probable that one or both of you is holding the other one back. Okay? In the sense that like you might actually be Diamond 5 or Platinum 1, for example, and your friend might actually be Diamond Masters 3, but because you're like kind of dragging them down, if that makes sense, and they can't pull you back up enough, you're both like kind of, you're higher than where you should be, and then they're lower where they should be, or vice versa. That could also be possible, the case. It's just, I think it's usually the higher player is being dragged down, but not always. Anyway, just some side notes. None of this really has anything to do with your play, just noting it. Okay, for this specific game, generally I have quite an aggressive play style. I try to create space for the team without overextending too much. I personally think my biggest aspect to improve is positioning/awareness where my support are. Whenever I play support, I always let my tank know when he's overextending, /can't be healed, etc. And when I play tank, right, for some stupid reason, expect the same callouts. Yeah, don't expect that. Second one is cooldown management. Generally, I feel like I outperform the enemy tank stat-wise, but perhaps my game impact is the problem. Okay, let's watch. So I would not play Zarya here. I think this is probably one of the worst possible maps to play Zarya on. Like, not necessarily Ilios specifically, or Ilios in general, but this map specifically, I think is really bad to play poke tanks on. I think that Zarya struggles here. I think Sigma struggles here as well. Less so than Zarya, but I think Zarya is really bad here. This is probably one of the worst possible maps I can imagine to play Zarya. Zarya is generally pretty good when you play north-south, like straight line level ground maps, okay? Where there's no high ground, the flank is not really that big a deal to control, and for the most part, it's brawly, but with spaced, with a lot of like tight corners, so that you can get away safely without bubbles. So King's Row is like, for example, canonically thought as like basically one of the best Zarya maps for this reason. Now, this is no good because you're too far away to be able to zap them, all right, to beam them, 1. 2, environmentals are always a problem for you, and you can't environmental the enemy team, right? You can't drag them to the well, but you can be dragged into the well. And 3, there's 2 strong flanking routes in addition to main, which means that there's not nearly as much spam coming at you, which means it's hard to get bubbles, and you can't control either one of them well. So there's a lot of reasons here why Zarya is not particularly good. In addition to the fact that often there are flying heroes on this map, and you can't do anything about Pharaoh, Echo, etc. So we're going to see this right away. There's a great saying from A10 that I tell all Zarya players, which is bubble for space, not for charge. Okay? Don't use bubbles and be like, oh, enemy, please shoot me. Go into them, force them to attack you, then bubble when they are forced to attack you. Because then you're virtually guaranteed to get maximum value from your bubble. Just standing here, every single player that has ever played Overwatch for any significant amount of time, when they see you come around the corner right now, no one's going to shoot you. Not more than once. Because they're going to expect you to bubble, right? They know you just came out of spawn. They know you have 2 bubble charges. Right? They just tap you until you use bubble, and then they just wait. And you see how everyone just waits here. Honestly, you're lucky to get as much charge as you did out of this. So, again, that's a completely wasted bubble, number 1. But the problems are going to get worse for you. I watched the first like third of this replay already. So, you go back. Actually, sorry. Let's look at that. So right here, you're going to go, you hit your bubble. Okay. You got 8 energy from that bubble. Max possible is 40. So you got 8 out of 40. I already feel like I've screwed up. If I were you, I would be like, I made a big mistake. That's problem number 1. Now look what happens next. Now you pop your second bubble charge. And you're only up to 22, which means you only got 14 charge from that. And now you have no bubble charge and bubble charges, and you only have 19 energy. You're screwed. Like, if I'm you right now, I'd be like, this is comparable to if I just like walked and jumped into the pit. I have no expectation that I can win this fight now because I've gotten a quarter of the energy that I should have gotten from my bubble charges, which is really, really bad. So what could you have done instead? So for starters, the second that you see Roadhog, you know, I mean, for starters, I wouldn't play Zarya here, but assuming you made me play Zarya here, and you're like, oh shit, there's a Roadhog, he's gonna environmentally me. Well, I don't want to get environmental, and I don't want to use bubble charges just to block hook, right? Because then I'm not gonna get any energy out of it. What I would do here is I would just go left and take Lighthouse, and then from Lighthouse move over here and force their backline. And there's one of two things that's gonna happen. Number one, which is the most likely one, is that they're gonna stay here and they're gonna try to fight me. In which case, I can use bubble, get charged, mow them over, and kill them. Right? If the Roadhog comes, great. Then I pull back, and I just chill, and we kind of play into a stalemate situation. But at least we're at least I'm not next to the well. Number two, their team, and this would be very intelligent if they did this, but unlikely, I would say, even in low diamonds slash mid diamond, high diamond, low masters. And I'm really dying over here, is they could rotate away. When they see you come to Lighthouse, the smartest thing for them to do would actually be to rotate here and play the opposite side of the point. Because that would mean that you're totally trapped back here with no ability to apply any pressure to the point. And then you probably have to continue the rotation here. And again, they can keep rotating around in a circle and just screw you over. I don't think that's what they would do, though. I think most likely they would just stay there, more or less in their position, and it's fine. But you trying to go out here is a big issue. Alright, so now you have no bio energy. Try to fight, you leave your backside open to the hog, so you I think you bubble right here just to make sure you don't get hooked. I assume, because I would assume I would get hooked right there, but if you did, I think that's fine. But either way, I don't think I would have taken this route. You know what I mean? Just like walk to the left instead of keeping your backside to the point, because I would have saved the bubble more. Like, you pop bubble just for Lucio shots. You barely get any energy out of this. That Cassidy is super, super low. Right? He has like 35 health right now. This should be a kill. His right click is way too low. And he gets away. You should have killed that Cassidy. 100% you should have killed that Cassidy. Cassidy dies anyway. I like the way you turn to look for this bubble, even though this is a terrible idea. Like, you definitely would have bubbled here if you had a charge. But the bubble's not going to help, right? They're still going to get environmental. Like, this is like autopilot instinct. You're like, oh, hook, I bubble. It's no good. It's not a good instinct in this scenario. And I think that's probably one of the things that's holding you back from higher diamond, is you've generally learned good habits, right? And I think that's probably true for most diamond players, is to get to diamond, you learn generally what am I supposed to do in the game. And you can execute that reasonably. But you can't, you don't understand nuance, right? When are the rules meant to be broken, right? I usually go this way, but if they run this lineup, I should not go this way. And that's the type of critical thinking that I think I don't see through this entire video. And I say that, just kind of encapsulated in that one note, but I think maybe we'll see some other examples later where that will become obvious, where you're just not, like, you're doing what's generally the right thing, but not actually very helpful. So your Baptiste is kind of messing around over here. This is pretty unlucky. So you could have saved him. You had a bubble charge when he came back. But I think, first of all, I don't understand what my Baptiste is doing, trying to take this fight, especially jumping into the air. But second, I don't think I would have bubbled here. It's extremely weird that this happened to begin with. I would not worry about that. All right, so you pop bubble. And again, whenever you pop bubble, let me back up. So you do not look like, quite to be perfectly honest, you don't look like you're a low diamond Zarya player. And I don't know if that's because Zarya is actually not one of your strongest heroes, or I don't know if that's because your teammate carried you, or I don't know that we just need to calibrate for your region or whatever it is, or I just have a poor sense of what low diamond is. So first of all, you didn't get good energy right off the beginning. Second, I don't think you took a good path in terms of where you fought. Third, so Zarya with number of charges changes everything about a playstyle, right? You have 2 bubbles charges, you can do whatever the heck you want, right? You have 1 bubble charge, you can be kind of free about what you want. You have 0 bubble charges, you better be very, very careful about what you're doing. And so you pop this bubble very early here, right? You're already missing a third of your health right now, okay? You pop this bubble charge, your supports are not here, which you seem to be not aware of because you just saw your Baptiste die at a minimum. Okay, and you should recognize that your Kiriko is respawning. It's hard for me to do that in the replay because like we pause so much during the game. I would know because I'd see both the kill feed, hear the sound, and check scoreboard regularly to know that the supports are respawning. You should know that you have no supports here. You're playing the close corner to them with only one bubble charge, and you walked up aggressively. And now you have no bubble charges. And if I'm the NP team, I know that too. And so you see they're all trying to hunt you down right now. You're very lucky to get away here. I think you should have died. Alright, died or got out with like basically no health. Alright, that's good. So the problem here is that the point is ticking away right now. And really, you want to touch point as soon as possible. So you have two options. One, go this way. Two, go this way. It would have been faster to go this way because you're already out there. I also think because you're nearly full health out with the bubble charge, I think it would have taken a risk walking into the hog. Especially since the hog has half health as well. So you're a little slow, and as a result, they cap the point. This is a big mistake because I think you could have stalled for quite a while in that situation. And then the hog very clearly hooks you in. To be fair, he's like reasonably far away from the well, so I can kind of understand you didn't expect this on environmental, but ultimately this shouldn't have happened, and you die, and you didn't contest the point. Kind of worst of all worlds. I would also add that so far your impact has been very minimal. Like you got that Cassidy kill, but besides that, and he was super low, you're not actually doing very much, which makes me feel like this server, this lobby is probably like upper diamond is my guess, just because you feel like out of place among everybody else. Alright, team's going around getting kills. Don't mind me as I crunch my cough drop. So, while this is happening, good Zaryas, great Zaryas, will always be right-clicking. Every moment you got, right-click, right-click, right-click. Every shot you hit is like 1 to 2% worth of ult charge. Always be right-clicking. Spam right-click all the time. Try to even hit one hero, totally fine. Just always be right-clicking so that you can farm ulti. So, you should be dead right now. So, you eat the headshot, right? Also hookable here, right? If I'm the Roadhog, I'm right-clicking you to see whether you're going to bubble or not. Okay? And then right there, the hog could hook you. Chooses not to. Alright, so hog's going behind you. You have two options. Number one, deflect the hog. Number two, go after the backline. Which do you choose? Well, in your scenario, you're very low charge, right? You have 25 energy, so you are not really a big threat against the backline. I would choose to just play in front of the hog, body block, use bubble charges when I need to, and just prevent the hog from doing anything. We already have point control. I don't need to kill anybody. As long as I prevent the hog from killing anyone, we probably win the fight. Instead, you let the hog simply walk past you. Which means he goes for the environmental. You should be dead right now. I don't know how the hog misses this hook. Like, this is actually kind of bonkers, right? And you look for the hog perspective, like, you look like a bot. You're just, like, totally ignoring, like, what is happening here. And then completely whiffs the hook on you. Now you advantage. So, also, ammo management is a big problem for you, right? You have 5 ammo here. You should have done one more right click before reloading. So you grab these two, which is not ideal, okay? So the rule for grab is, well, there is an angle. I don't know if you knew this. I seriously doubt that you knew that this would be the right angle for your team on the other side. But if you did, then it actually is a good play. But generally, I think that you probably did know the play. But the rule for grabs is you must either, one, grab them in front of your team, right, where your team can see them, and there's no shield in the way, so that your team can kill them. Or number two, you must have full ammo, high charge, and then you can grab wherever you want if you're personally going to kill them. So you definitely don't have high charge, so your team has to get the kill here. So they managed to get the kill because of this angle. Again, you know, maybe I'm not giving you enough credit that like you grabbed just the right spot. You know, yeah, it could go either way, right? Either you meant to do it right and knowing that your team will be able to see it or not. I suspect not, but maybe not. Maybe so. Again, right click, right click, right click. Always be right clicking. I would be very careful of getting hooked there, because if you get hooked deep into the backline like that, right here, you can die. Right? It feels like the other tank is also not that good. I feel like the Roadhog has made a lot of mistakes. So you've lost track of the Roadhog, right? Because you last saw him to the right and you haven't seen him in a while. I would be looking to the right, like occasionally. Basically every right click while it's in cooldown, it doesn't hurt you to look to the right. And you would have seen this Roadhog rotating right now. Oh, now you can hear him shooting. He's gone for the turret. So the question here is like, do I hold off this team or do I go for the Roadhog? I think you go for the Roadhog. These guys are going to get in no matter what, probably. So your hog kills one. You're still not really doing very much. Like, you're technically holding back two, but like having their tank on the point is like much bigger deal. Because you see how your whole team, the space creation is just too strong, right? Hooks gets the kill. And like you have people alive here, but they can't do anything because the hog is there, right? Now the Reaper's walking to them and everyone's forced back. So even though you technically have, 4 people alive right now, nobody's touching the point, which is the most important that part. And so you give it up. You should think about right clicking to finish people just in case. Alright, Kiriko jumps to you. I'd be thinking about environmentals here, right? Definitely think about environmentals. You pop your bubble too early. Right? I think the hog is clearly looking for it because you don't know the hook timing, but he's too far away right now to hook you into the pit. Right? This is way too far away. I would wait until the hog gets closer and then pop it. So Kitsune gets pushed, gets popped. So one thing to recognize here is I must stay. Either I have bubble to not get hooked in, or I have to stay somewhere where I can't get hooked. So when this happens, I think you're looking to try to get past them back to quote-unquote your back line, which is weird because the point's kind of flipped right now, or to disengage backwards. But you do neither. You're stuck in no man's land. You're going to get hooked in a second. You're very lucky this hog misses this hook as well. I think your hog's missed a lot of easy hooks. Like, this doesn't make any sense why you missed this. Hog's going up in your face. Right, again, another bubble where I don't think that that was the right time for bubble. You're barely getting any energy out of that. You're only just buying yourself 2 seconds of life. You're not getting any charge with it. I think you just zap away and wait for them to commit harder on you. Once again, dodge another hook, which honestly feels less like skill and more like luck. So, I get the intention you're trying to grab him to the pit. I didn't think this was going to work when I saw you shoot it, and it is correct that this did not work. I do not think this was a good call, obviously. So you go for the Reaper. Again, you have to be careful. Once again, the hog missing more and more hooks. Absolutely crazy how many hooks he's missed on a tank. I think he definitely could have died. Finally, you get hooked into the well. So you come back as Orisa. So, oh yeah. So I'm gonna highlight. This is a good kill on the Bastion. Right. It already feels like you're better at Orisa than you are at Bastion. I don't know necessarily that I would spin here, unless I felt like Kiriko's. I guess she's pretty low. Yeah, I think it's fair to spin. So you force this out. I'm surprised that you're playing slow here because the Bastion is dead. Right? I don't know why the Reaper decided to ult in here at that moment in time either, but take it. So I think you spin to the wrong time. So a general rule I say for Orisas is don't use spin to hit tanks, just shoot tanks, right? Like you do excellent damage per second anyway. Save spin for when you need it. Like when he's doing vape, like don't spin. Just attack him, wait for javelin, and then javelin him. Then you have spin ready for when he tries to hook you. Or you pop fortify here, I think mostly just not get booped in versus like actually need the health at all. Come in. You miss javelin on the Kiriko. Pretty good tracking. Alright, Bastion's dead. I don't think you really need to pop fortify, but it's the end of the round, so who cares? Okay, first point win. So once again, opening as Zarya. So, as a general rule, I would basically never walk on their side of the lighthouse at the beginning of the map, right? Like, why would you do this? Like, you expose yourself to the entire opposing team, and your supports can't heal you. There's nothing that's going to be so important that you need to walk in front of here. Just go left and go towards point if you want. You see the hog going. I think it's making the right. You make the right call here to kind of try to peel the hog, which I think is good. But then once again, what's this bubble? You're not that low. The Reaper's looking at you, but he's too far away to do a lot of damage. And you once again have very poor energy from your bubble. So I think it's a reasonable bubble. I think you're a little slow on it, but that's fine. Don't get the right click to finish out ammo. So this is not the time, honestly, to attack the hog. You have to kill the rest of the team. Going after the Moira or Reaper would be better. So Moira pop damage orb, definitely killable. Oh, you should have continued shooting the Moira. So right here, you have to kill the Moira. So, interesting thing. So it is the correct call in this situation to kill the Moira, from what you can see. But if my sound was better, I would also point out, and I saw this earlier, is the Sombra actually hacked the Roadhog and you were shooting. So I would have checked if I were you in game when I heard the hack and looked to see the Roadhog, because the Roadhog actually gets super low here. Right, he gets down to 50 health. If you just shot the Roadhog, you would kill them and probably survived. So the correct call actually was to kill the Roadhog, but it required more awareness than what was going on your screen, and that's a complete throw of EMP. I don't know which DPS is your partner. I would assume the Genji slash what was he? Cassidy, or whatever he was, soldier. Okay, so you come back again. You do have grab, which is farmed pretty quickly. It's a pretty quick grab. You're being very passive right now, which is not ideal. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is your other? Yeah. Wait, so who's missing? Oh, Baptiste. Okay. So you're waiting for Baptiste. That's fine. Let's wait this out. You look for Mega. There's no Mega here. Just chill. You pop bubble because you get scared than you actually need it, right? But again, like, you're going to a fight with no charges right now, which is a huge mistake, and you're low, right? Just way too much impatience. Your supports haven't finished healing you yet. And you don't have bubble charges. Like, why are you pushing right now? Just wait. Like, what's going to change if you wait 5 seconds for your supports to heal you and for you to get another bubble charge? You know what I mean? Just wait 5 seconds. Just chill right here. Just chill. Just chill for a second. Let everybody get healed and then push in. Like, it's not going to get any worse by waiting. You already have basically all your ultimates. Alright, so you grab in 3. Everyone pops ultis now. If the other team was smart, they would actually save ultis. And then you suicide, presumably to switch to Orisa. Which I think is the right call, because I don't think you're playing Zarya well against Hog at all. Your grab there does get value, a surprising amount of value, honestly, considering the situation, but, you know, whatever works. I would be surprised at how much value that grab seemed to get. So, yeah, that's a great kidnap opportunity. If I see this, I'm spinning forward right away. I spin forward, knock him out the door, and then I fortify in his face and I kill him. Right? And if he tries to whole hog me, I javelin him backwards. And just hope my team burns him down to time. You wait way too long with the javelin, right? In real time, it's very clear how long it takes you to run into this. Right? That's like, what, 2 seconds? So you leave the Baptiste, trade the Kiriko, at least it's good. You don't have a lot of people on point, you really need to get 2 point and die on point here. Yep. Great job, right? Really, really good job there, I think. I think that's probably one of the best stretches that you had in the entire game. Probably your best stretch so far. Well, besides the fact that you failed to kill the Reaper. But you killed the Kiriko, and then you killed the Moira or whatever quickly. Alright, DBS got 2 intro picks. This should be pretty easy. So I would be scared of Whole Hog here. So I would not have tossed Javelin. Right? I know Whole Hog is coming. I guess you toss Javelin to interrupt his heal, but his heal is nearly done anyway. You tossed it too late. Unfortunate, DPS is overextended and dies. This whole hog. So, you do this almost correctly. So, I think you have two options here. Option number one is go into point. Option number two is play tight here. I think both are reasonable. But what you definitely shouldn't do is stop in the middle of the road, which is what you do, right? You come like all the way over here and then get pushed back. If you just played here close, you're good, right? If they try to rush you, you have Terror Surge. So you make what is typically a pretty big mistake, which is that you pop Fortify and then go into Terror Surge. Ideally, you want to use Spin into Terror Surge, right? Or just Terror Surge naked instead of having Fortify. That way, when Terror Surge ends, you still have Fortify to pop to keep yourself alive. So you see, Kiriko does the early Suzu, right, because he's low. You should have waited another half second to pop it so that it kills her. You aim for the hog, which is fine. Get that kill. So right now, like, I know the Kiriko's out here, but just kill the Reaper on point, right? Like, you're even do double damage from here. Kill the Reaper to make sure it doesn't kill anybody else on your team. You land this on the Kiriko, but just kill the Reaper. Alright, kill the junk. You're on the Moira. Reaper ulti is good. Right? Like, your Orisa play feels so much better than your Zarya play. Like, by a lot. Like, this I would believe is diamond for sure. So, you miss an opportunity right here to javelin him off. 2, 1, right? You have it right here. You had this javelin opportunity right now to javelin and knock him off the edge. I don't know if it get him off the way all completely, but you spin to finish the job if you have to. So I think you're just generally being too defensive here. Right? Just get into somebody's face and start attacking. When the Rhine's out of commission, okay? So Rhine's here. Like, once you miss this, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna be able to do anything at this point. I leave point and come over and I force Kiriko Swift Step or Suzu, right? And then go kill her / the Moira. You see how you're playing so far back? You're staying on the point, but you should just get aggressive here. Nothing can stop you right now. Now the Rhine's back. Now you're in much bigger trouble. Try to javelin off. It's a worthy effort, but not actually gonna get anywhere. You pop Fortify, but way too early. You still have all of your health, and you're not even taking a lot of damage. You're gonna seriously regret. See, right now, this is when you want Fortify. You know, once that Reaper starts getting up to you, right? When you see here, this is the right time for Fortify, because right now the Reaper's gonna start wrecking you in the side. So, that's not worth mentioning. There's like micro details here where you could really be better about like where you choose to move the spin, but I'm not gonna fret about it. I think the short answer is you're simply just not aggressive enough here at a moment in time where the Rhine is indisposed. You know, the Rhine takes himself out of the fight by charging over to go kill your Reaper or whatever, and that was the critical moment where like you could have gone and helped your Genji out with the fight out here, because you see how low the Kiriko is, and she has no cooldowns, which is what I suspect as well, right? She has 39 health. All it takes like a little bit of spam from you, and she would have died here, and that would have been like game changing. I would note that you're also not able to control space well. So the Rhine is going to collapse in on you. You see how your team is all kind of wedged against the back? So he's going to come in, so he's going to try to hit multiple people to swing. But you have tools right now to stop him, right? Number one, you could physically just walk into his face. A. B, right, you have spin. C, you have javelin, okay? When you use the next spin, right, you should try to clear the Rhine out as far back as you possibly could to give your team space to work with. Instead, your team has zero space, like quite literally. Reaper dies instantly, and then it all goes haywire. So I just think in general, like your execution there at the end of the second point is just very poor. I don't think you know your goals in the Rhine versus Orisa, or Orisa versus Rhine matchup well, right? Again, for Orisa versus Rhine, you should try to force him back as much as possible. Always be poking him. When he comes at you, use Javelin to knock him back if you can. If Javelin doesn't work, or you think he's going to shield it, just use Spin to knock him back. At the very end of Spin, step back to give yourself space again, and then go back to poking, and just do that constantly. Don't forget that Spin for Orisa blocks Rhine swings and Genji beating. So you can spin comfortably into a Rhine whenever you want. And pop Fortify when you absolutely have to. So I would be careful about dropping here. So you have to look back a little more and figure out where your support positioning is. Because in here, you can easily LOS them. So for example, your Baptiste was going right, so your Baptiste actually would have preferred that you stay here versus tucking into the left over here. And it's a small detail, but losing that LOS can be a really big deal for your Baptiste. So Reaper gets a kill here. So you have an opportunity to Javelin right there. That would have led to a kill. So you pop this Fortify for no reason. Right, you're at full health right now. Like, why are you popping Fortify? You know, this makes no sense. Good kill on the Moira, right? Yeah, shoot the Reaper. You don't have any cooldowns right now except for Javelin, which you use to keep yourself alive and just get absolutely shredded. So again, imagine if you had Fortify, that would make a huge difference. You could just walk to his face and kill him. One other option here, after you Javelin, is to immediately turn and then walk away. Because A, you move faster, you move 10% faster, and B, it would remove your head hitbox. Because I'm pretty sure the Reaper's actually shooting you in the face, and that's why the Reaper's doing so much damage to you. Yeah, those two are big headshots into the face. You're also not peeling the Rhine off your backline, which I think is honestly the biggest thing you can do, is just keep the Rhine back, right? And then worry about the Reaper second. So, rookie mistake on Orisa, you should use Spin first instead of using Fortify, right? So Spin here would have eaten Damage Orb and Fire Strike right now, all at once, and you would have kept Fortify. So many good things would happen if you Spin there, right? Spin is a much shorter cooldown than Fortify. Use Spin more, right? You Spin first, then use Fortify if you absolutely have to after the Spin ends. I mean, they're playing tight corners here. This is pretty normal. This is a bad idea, right? Again, the Ryan's basically full health. He's being pocketed by at least one support, if not both supports right now. Both supports are here. Your Spin, 100 damage over a second point, 1.75 seconds, is not going to do anything. Who cares? It's just literally not going to do anything. Now you just don't have Spin as a utility tool to kind of help your team. And because you're out of position, there's no way that you can block Shatter. He shatters behind you. Right? I think, again, this feels like a fundamental misunderstanding of how to play the Orisa versus Ryan matchup. So going back here, what should you have done instead? Just shoot the shield. Okay? Like, you just have to be patient here. You can't expect to just walk in and be able to win this fight, especially without ultimates. Like, your goal right now is just to burn down the Rhine shield and force him backwards as much as you can. Once shield is broken, then you can try and make plays. But right now, you know, or if he doesn't choose to put the shield, then it's a different story. But trying to go behind him like this is a really bad idea. Everything just goes very poorly for you. Alright, so this point's not going so well. You have ulti, but the other opposing team has 2 ultis already. I would oh yeah, the Rhine just used Shatter. So, looking for an opportunity. Again, Orisa's not a sneaky hero. Like, don't be like, oh, I'm gonna sneak in and get a crazy flank. Like, don't worry about it. Just play default and play normal and trust in your skill to do this. So, again, it's like, okay, Coalescence has happened right now, but what's this flank gonna do? Also, why did you pop Fortify again for the millionth time? This is the worst ulti that I've seen in quite a while. So you're down 2 people, okay? You're down 2 people, and you have only a third of your health. You think you're going to kill, what, 3 here? You kill 0 people, which is exactly what I would expect. I have not seen this part of the replay. And then you spin out, and I'm pretty sure you're just going to get staggered here. That's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah. So now, like, your play is just super... You cancel spin here coming out of spawn. Your play is getting super swampy. Did you cancel it? No, I guess you actually just spawn deeper than I expected. But overall, like, your Kiriko now is staggered. You have to touch point. It's like extremely difficult to imagine how to win point now. Yeah, I don't really know what to say at this point. Just, yeah, try to keep Ryan back. Yep, spin off. So this is a scenario where I say you should go for the Kiriko. Kitsune Res has just been popped. I think also, actually, I think that now that you're here, I think Javelining the Rhine is actually a better idea. So I would not have walked back through the shield, right? It's just the Kiriko trying to keep him up. So Kiriko only heals like 70 health a second. If you get over here, 1 Javelin to the wall is going to do 100 damage, and then your regular shooting will kill him very, very fast. And plus, it would force his shield to go down, which gives your team a chance to shoot. So I think it was a mistake there not killing the Rhine. You saw how low the Rhine was too long ago. Another Fortify that I don't think you actually needed. Right? He's like, you pop Fortify and spin. You also should use that opportunity to get the Mega. Yeah, the Ryan is just doing whatever he wants. That's kind of like the big problem here. The Reaper is like problem number 2, but the Ryan is a big problem, big thorn on your team side. So I would expect the Ryan's pretty close to Shatter. Generally speaking, Ryan's get Shatter every 2 fights, right? Last fight you won. This is now second fight. Once again, another fortify that I don't think you needed. I think you're perfectly safe just walking to the right here. You're no risk of instantly dying. I would definitely be saving Javelin right now. But works to get the kill, so sure, we'll take it. Do not ulti here. Oh, please don't. Alright. So got clean up. You still got 2 ultis. They have Shatter. Right? Definitely winnable. Again, try to poke down the Ryan shield as much as you can before he gets to you. Yeah, sure. Go ahead and Javelin him if he's not gonna block it. So he for sure is gonna have Ryan shield down. Don't let your... Oh boy. Yeah, definitely do not let your gun overheat. So I think right here, in order to make this block harder, once I realized Tyre was coming from him, which was right now, I would spin into his back and shove him forwards, right? Because if I'm the Junkrat, I'm thinking I want to move it behind the shield and pop it. If I push the Ryan towards it, it's going to move the Ryan faster than he expects behind, so that the Tyre, basically, it will make the Tyre move at him at double speed. Think of it that way, right? Because it's both the forward speed of the Tyre and your push of the Ryan that direction. And then so I would use spin to come in quickly, push him towards the Tyre, and then Javelin him to make sure that he dies to this Tyre. You don't do any, you do none of the things, you don't use any of the abilities there. Now you spin in, despite the fact that no one's actually attacking you. You do an ulti, which is easily line of sightable. Again, like you suck them in, but like so quickly can they get around this corner. It's a very, very bad idea. You miss an opportunity to get the Ryan kill here. So generally, for Ryans, if you're going to try to Javelin them, especially at close range, you should do it right as their swing starts, because they don't typically want to cancel their swing with shield until it's landed on you. So you miss an opportunity there to land a Javelin. You waste it into the shield, which is a big waste. I do not think you need to spin there. I think you could just shot him. How do you lose this game? Oh, do they cap it? Oh, they cap it. That's what happens. It's like, how does this game keep going? So another time where you use Fortify when I don't think you actually need to. Right? The second is Reaper, just pop spin. Just pop spin and walk back into the point. Right? No need to use Fortify now. Again, now I know that you don't have Fortify, and I can just walk on you as the Reaper or the Rhino or whomever. Again, you don't have Fortify to even have a chance of blocking Shatter. As I told you, you should already have known Shatter was coming from the previous fight. So High Noon happens. You have none of the tools to use to deal with any of the things that are going on at the point, right? The opposing team, because they're at 99%, is basically like, okay, like we'll just store up ultis and just walk over you, which is pretty much what happens. You having your Fortify forced out early is really bad. You have no ability to block this Rhine Shatter. Again, I think you should have been playing very close to the Rhine and prevented him from getting a clean look at your team. Okay? Like if you're just playing up here and being like, oh, where's Ryan going? Let me just mirror him. He's going left, he's going center, he's going right. You know, and just keep mirroring and stay in the Ryan's way and use Fortify to potentially block Shatter because it'll prevent Shatter from going through you. Or just literally just preventing him from getting a good look at your team. Even if you get Shattered, not a big deal. You'll probably survive through it. That's kind of problem number one. Problem number two is then you start kind of Javelin. You miss the Javelin, which is bad. What actually happens? Does he get booped? Yeah, he gets booped by Lucio, but I don't think your Javelin was on target anyway. Then, you know, Cassidy pops High Noon over here, and you have 3 abilities that can do something about High Noon, and you are not able to use any of them because you wasted them all. Right? Fortify, we already talked about wasting. You pop this spin. Like way too late. You know, you're at 411 health. Like, just take the damage. Okay, so now you've wasted 2 of your abilities. Then Javelin you waste. And again, even if he hadn't gotten booped, I don't know that that was on target. But regardless, yeah, see, you snap to the left because your Javelin is aimed here at the final moment. It's not like you got booped, right? The Rhine got booped. So the Rhine, if you look at where Shatter is, So your javelin was actually headed here into the stairs. So you would have missed them regardless. But even if it had not missed him, I don't think it's a high value javelin right now. I would wait until he gets a lot closer to my team, because if he shadows back here, who cares? Right? They're still pretty far away. So I would want to save the javelin right now to interrupt, for example, the charge, or just to have it available. Is a big mistake. Right? And now you don't have anything to cancel high noon. The correct decision right now is to just run at the Cassidy and shoot his head. That is the only option that you have, because the Cassidy, no matter what's going to kill you. Like, you could theoretically leave this point maybe and survive, but who cares? If you leave the point, they're going to cap and the game's over. You have to kill the Cassidy right now. So your only option right now is to just run the straight light at him and shoot him in the head and hope he fires early. Instead, you shoot the Rhine, and then you die. Okay. So, what to say here? I think a lot of stuff goes wrong. I think on Zarya, number one issue by far is just bubbles. I just don't think you're very good at using bubbles for space. You're often just kind of hoping people will shoot your bubble. You consistently get, I would say, less than 50% charge on bubbles, which is, I would say, really, really bad. And I don't think you can play Zarya well against Roadhog. And I don't think that you path well on Zarya additionally. Actually, I don't think you path well. Path isn't like knowing where to go. I don't think you actually do that well in either tank. I think it's just especially notable on Zarya because you have fewer options and you are not mobile, so you need to know where you're supposed to go because you can't change options where you want to go. So I think those are probably the two standouts. Again, just like being really bad with the bubbles put you in rough situations. Like, we couldn't even talk about like, hey, you're high energy, who to kill, because you're never high energy. Like, I think high energy is fine about like 60, 65% is like the stat line or something like that. I think that you're over that for maybe like 1 or 2% of your entire time in Zarya. It's honestly really bad. For perspective, like when I'm dominating Zarya, I haven't played Zarya in a while in Overwatch 2. I did it like the very beginning of Season 1. Like, if I'm doing well, then my high energy charge is something like 60% plus, 60 to 75% of the game. Right? And even if I'm doing poorly, it's still like 40 to 50% of the game. You like basically never get high energy. Right? Because you're just not good for the bubble usage and like predicting when you're going to get hit. So that's the big notes on Zarya. Obviously lots of minor things too, but those are the big notes on Zarya. And then on Orisa, I think you're stronger at Orisa than you are on Zarya. I think your ability usage is still very suspect, right? Spin and fortify, just not coming out at the right times, not looking to maximize damage on your with your gun, not recognizing when you can mow people down. You get some of them, right? When you're like, oh, I can just mow people down now and kill them right now. But not as good as I would hope. I think there's a lot of obvious situations where I'm like, oh, you can just kill them here, you know? Like when that Rhine went in. Yeah, when the Rhine goes in right here, again, like killing the Kiriko right now was critical, you know, and you just kind of play way too passive here. I think it's funny that you're like, oh, I'm like too aggressive. I'm like, well, actually, I think in general you're actually way too passive on both tanks. I think you're too passive. So in general, I would say, yeah, again, like not understanding the ability usage, playing too passive / like not recognizing when you have the opportunity to commit and get kills. I don't think you ever track Shatter at all. Honestly, I think that I think Orisa's strongly favored in the Rhine versus Orisa matchup. I would never want to play Rhine against Orisa. And I don't think you do a good job dealing with the Rhine at all. I don't think you do a good job preventing him from walking at your team. I don't think you prevent him from farming Shatter. I don't think you prevent him from hitting big Shatters against your team. I don't think you try to avoid getting shattered by him. It doesn't look like you're doing any ult tracking whatsoever. So, yeah, I would say, you know, oh yeah, so reading this, I think my biggest aspect to improve is positioning such awareness, where my support are. It was a problem. Wouldn't say it is the main problem. I think generally you're able to get healing when you needed to. Like, it's not like you're dying like around a corner or anything like that. I think generally you're able to get healing when you needed to. I think the bigger issue is that your supports are getting killed because you're just not doing enough by the time they get killed. Is a problem. or they're like respawning, but that's like I'd say it's still pretty rare. Uh, Two is cooldown management. I mean, I would say in general use of your abilities, yes. And three, generally, I feel like I outperform the enemy tank stat wise, and yeah, no, not in this game at least. I would be very surprised if you outperform the enemy tank. I feel like the enemy tank got more damage and more eliminations in terms of stat line. Uh, and in terms of like the actual game analysis, the enemy tank was much more effective than you were. I would say that you were a very significant factor in why your team lost. Would be my take here. Like watching it as a tank player, I'm watching this, I'm like, I feel like you're actually not doing a lot. Like remember your first life as Zarya, where you used 2 bubble charges, you only had 20 energy. That's like throwing. That's like Winston jumping in and then instantly dying, or like having his bubble burst right away. You're like, well, that was not the correct play. you don't know how to play the hero is what people would feel when that happens. So I don't know if you have other games where you do feel like you outperform the enemy tank, but this is definitely not the game. I think their tank was constantly hitting big shatters, constantly pushing back your team, constantly getting damage, getting picks, right? It's like you get your picks too, but just not enough of them, and your ultimates are, oh yeah, your ultimate usage was really bad. Across both heroes, Zarya and Orisa, your ults are really bad. Yeah, I would say I would peg your your Zarya play as probably like mid plat, like plat 3-ish. Your Orisa feels diamond 5, definitely better, but I don't feel like it's like mid diamond. If you're by diamond 4, it feels more like luck that you got in diamond 4 versus you deserve diamond 4, if that makes sense. So I think that both of these skill levels feel under, and it feels like your DPS teammate might be like pulling you up a bit. Again, I don't know how many games you actually end up playing together, but if you play most or all of your games together, they could definitely be dragging you up a rank just by carrying you. Okay, cool. Hopefully that's helpful.